Hello my friends, this is the first episode on my channel. I hope you will subscribe to the channel. I will present content about the history of previous nations. I promise you that you will enjoy. Today, we will talk about the events before World War I. Let's get started. Europe is tense. A web of secrets, empires and assassins are about to set the world on fire as the 20th century dawns and an easy calm settles over Europe. Two world powers, Britain and Germany, dominate the continent. In between them is a powder keg just waiting to explode. The French still smart from their defeat in the Franco-Prussian War. The Russians, humiliated after losing the Russo-Japanese War, while the Austrians are anxious over their shrinking empire. And then there's Serbia, a small Balkan nation eager to break free of Austria's control. What will it take to ignite this powder keg? In 1871, Otto von Bismarck, Chancellor of Germany, takes a victory lap around Europe. His plan of German unification is complete. The Franco-Prussian War has just ended with a decisive German victory. And his new German empire stands strong. But Bismarck knows that peace doesn't last forever. He wants to preserve the peace, but only by surrounding Germany with enemies. Bismarck is a realist. His famous quote, "The great questions of the day will not be settled by speeches and majority decisions, but by blood and iron," sums up his worldview. In order to prevent war, he reasons, Germany must be prepared for war. But Bismarck is also smart enough to know he can't wage war alone. And so he spends his time cultivating good relations with his neighbors. But Bismarck is a chain smoker and heavy drinker. He suffers from stomach cancer, which forces him to resign in 1890. Enter Kaiser Wilhelm II, nephew of Queen Victoria and Kaiser of Germany. He's young, ambitious, and eager to prove himself. But unlike his uncle, he's reckless and naive. He wastes no time in firing off a series of insulting tweets directed at the Danes, basically telling them they're about to lose their colony of Alsace-Lorraine. They'd rather die than give it up. So Germany declares war and easily defeats Denmark, taking Alsace-Lorraine for themselves. Kaiser Wilhelm is now confident. No one could stop him. Not even Britain. Soon, he'll be ruling all of Europe. But in 1894, something strange happens. Kaiser Wilhelm falls out with his own chancellor. The new chancellor, Chlodwig Hohenlohe, wants to build good relations with Britain and France. But Wilhelm wants to build bigger, stronger battleships. This sets the stage for the next 20 years of European politics. Germany would aggressively expand its navy, build up its army and stockpile weapons. And then there's the colonies. When Wilhelm was just a boy, his counselors had taken Africa, carving it up among themselves. But Wilhelm wasn't consulted and he resents them for it. Now, he wants to show them who's boss. In 1905, he led an expedition to conquer the Herero people of German Southwest Africa. Within 2 years, he'd killed 100,000 of them. But Wilhelm isn't satisfied with just Africa. He wants more colonies and more power. He looks to Asia and the Pacific, where the Japanese have just won a decisive victory against the Russians. Wilhelm sends a congratulatory telegram to Tokyo, angering the Russians. Russia's not happy with Germany for other reasons too. First, they've lost their warm water port of Port Arthur in the Pacific to the Japanese. And second, Germany's growing navy threatens Russia's dream of dominating the Black Sea. Finally, Germany is siding with the Turks, the nation Russia wants to conquer next. And if that wasn't bad enough, Wilhelm flirts with the Austrians, threatening to support them if they go to war with Serbia. That's right. Germany is antagonizing 3 of their neighbors, Russia, France, and Britain. How do these nations respond? They form a triple entente. It includes France, Britain, and Russia, and later Italy switches sides to join them. On the other side is the Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. The rest of Europe is caught in the middle. Soon the continent is a patchwork quilt of secret alliances. The Dutch, Norwegians, Swiss, Bulgarians, Romanians, and Greeks all pledge loyalty to one side or the other. But everyone knows that when war breaks out, those pledges will mean nothing. For now, though, peace reigns. But underneath the surface, tensions are rising. By 1908, two things become clear. First, Britain is turning into a global superpower. Its colonies stretch from India to Canada to South Africa. Its army is massive and its navy is unmatched. Second, colonial rivalries are getting violent. In Morocco, the French and the Germans are at each other's throats. While in Egypt, the British are fighting back against the Ottomans. Tensions continue to rise throughout the next 6 years. The French are outraged when the Germans support the Boers during the Second Boer War. Meanwhile, the Germans are furious when the French occupy Morocco. There's even talk of another war between France and Germany. And then in 1911, things get really ugly. The Agadir crisis erupts when the Germans send troops to Morocco. For 10 days, Europe is on edge, fearing a renewed war between France and Germany. But cooler heads prevail and the crisis passes. And yet this period of uneasy calm will be the last for a while. You see, the seeds of war were sown decades ago. The French, British and Russians had built up vast empires across the world. These empires brought in unimaginable wealth, but they also created deep resentments. The colonized peoples hated their oppressors. And as the 19th century drew to a close, these feelings began to boil over. From Algeria to India, nationalist movements sprung up demanding independence. Meanwhile, the great powers kept an eye on the Ottoman Empire. The sick man of Europe, as the British called him, was in decline. As his empire crumbled, it looked like the other great powers would carve up the Middle East. But Russia surprised everyone. Instead of seizing Constantinople, it backed Serbia's claim to the city. This infuriated the Turks, who declared war on Serbia. The Austrians jumped to their defense and soon the entire continent is on edge. Is this the war everyone has been dreading? In Sarajevo, a group of young men gather in secret. They call themselves the Black Hand. Their mission, to free Bosnia from Habsburg rule. In Vienna, the Kaiser is paying court to the Shah of Persia. He's hoping to win her over and make his dynasty even stronger. But his spies tell him something disturbing. One of his cousins in Sarajevo is plotting to overthrow him. Franz Ferdinand, nephew of the Kaiser and heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, is visiting Sarajevo today. If the Kaiser is worried about his cousin, he should be. See, Franz Ferdinand has his own secret plans. He wants to transform Austria into a modern state and abolish the Habsburg monarchy. But first, he's going to visit Sarajevo. Meanwhile, in Moscow, the Russians are preparing for battle. They know that war with the Ottoman Empire is coming, and they want to be ready. The Tsar is eager to lead his troops into battle, but his generals disagree. They know that Russia isn't ready for war. So they convince the Tsar to wait a little longer. Back in Sarajevo, tension is mounting. Franz Ferdinand and his entourage arrive to the cheers of thousands. But as their motorcade drives through the city, a bomb is thrown. It explodes, shattering the windows of the car. But Franz and his wife are okay. Enraged, they speed away from the city. But their luck won't last. As the motorcade approaches the Sarajevo suburb of Monastir, someone steps out in front of the car. He fires 3 shots, killing both Franz and his wife. The assassin runs off, but he's quickly surrounded by soldiers. They beat him and then arrest him. His name is Gavrilo Princip, and he's just changed the course of world history. So was it inevitable that Franz Ferdinand would be assassinated? Well, maybe. See, Franz Ferdinand was planning to visit Sarajevo without telling anyone. He wanted to keep it a secret because he knew the Austrians wouldn't approve. The Austrians knew that there was a lot of anti-Habsburg sentiment in Bosnia, and they didn't want their heir in danger. But Franz Ferdinand didn't care about his own safety. He wanted to see Sarajevo for himself. He didn't believe all the warnings from his advisors. And on June 28, 1914, he paid the price. Historians argue over whether the assassination could have been prevented. After all, the Austrians had received intelligence that there was going to be an attempt on Ferdinand's life, but they didn't take it seriously. Perhaps if the Austrians had listened to their spies, Ferdinand might have lived to see another day, but perhaps the assassination was meant to be. Maybe someone greater than the Austrians was guiding the hand of the assassin. Finally, don't forget to subscribe in my channel, my friends. We will meet in other upcoming episodes, and see you later.